Welcome to the third episode of the Coffee Shop Project. If you've been here for the past few weeks, you know the drill, but if this is the first week you're watching, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. In this series, we spend Saturdays exploring local coffee shops, documenting the experience, and then sharing it here and on my Instagram. Today we're going to be exploring Franklin, Tennessee, and the three shops we're checking out are Highbrow Coffee Tea, the Coffee House at 2nd and Bridge, and Honest Coffee Roasters. And if you want to see future episodes, I would love if you would consider subscribing with the button down below. And without further ado, let's get into our first shop, Highbrow Coffee Tea. Welcome to Highbrow Coffee Tea. Let's take a look inside. Highbrow Coffee Tea is right outside of downtown Franklin. The shop's story is super cool because it was actually opened by a musician based out of Nashville who developed a love for coffee while touring, and after 10 years on the road, settled down in Franklin and opened his own coffee shop. The shop features a menu that extends far beyond coffee and tea, including a wide variety of desserts and pastries. Everything on the menu looked fabulous, so it was really hard to narrow down my picks, but I settled on a couple and we're just gonna jump right into them. I'm really looking forward to trying our lineup at Highbrow Coffee Tea because it's a little bit different than what we've been trying regularly. So back in February, I went to the Starbucks Roastery Reserve in Chicago and I had a gelato cold brew float and it was amazing. Something about the ice cream and the espresso together was just perfect. And here they have something called an affiago, which is pretty similar. It's 2 scoops of ice cream with 2 shots of espresso poured over it, and my ice cream flavor is honey. Then the barista's choice was an Earl Grey latte, so it's a blend of like tea and espresso with oat milk in there too, and that's gonna be yummy. And finally, we have a Pop-Tart, a homemade cinnamon sugar Pop-Tart. When I tell you that I've been thinking about Pop-Tarts for like 2 months and being too lazy to go buy one, I'm not joking at all. So I'm finally getting my fix there, so let's dive right into this. So I would save the affiago as our grand finale, but honestly, I cannot wait any longer to try this, so we're just gonna give it a bite. That's my favorite thing that I have tried so far. The texture of the ice cream with the espresso and then the local honey in there, it just blends together perfectly. I need to learn how to make this at home, so stay tuned for when I do that. Now we're moving on to our homemade brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart and an Earl Grey latte, which the barista recommended to me. It's Earl tea, espresso, and then some oat milk. I've never had anything like this. I've never even had a chai tea latte, so we're just gonna jump right in and give it a sip. I don't mind it. It's definitely not something that I would drink on a daily basis, but it's very cozy. I enjoy the flavor, but I just like black coffee in the morning. I kind of just broke the Pop-Tart, but it's not gonna matter once we're eating it, so let's just break off a little piece and give it a bite. That's way yummier than just like the ones that come in the box. It tastes like puff pastry and all the good cinnamony flavors from your childhood all in one, and I gotta learn to make these at home too. That shop was fabulous. I would definitely come back for the pastries alone, but we got other shops to look at. Let's go. Welcome to the Coffee House at 2nd and Bridge. Let's go inside. The Coffee House at 2nd and Bridge was created from a remodeled house built in 1904, and the shop is named for the corner in Franklin that it is located at. This shop really stood out to me because of how it's designed and laid out. It features a normal counter to walk in and order from, but instead of having it laid out like one big sprawling room, the house is still divided up so that there are multiple places that groups can work without it feeling invasive or crowded, and each room is themed, which I found super cute. In addition to this unique setup, the staff was absolutely amazing and really made you feel like you were at home and that they knew you forever. If I could have any kind of coffee shop back home just to sit and do homework or spend time with friends, this would definitely be it. week, as you know, we talked about my experience making soda coffee and how horrible it was, and then we tried it at the barista parlor, and the drink definitely redeemed itself so much that I was ready to try it again when I came to the coffee house at 2nd and Bridge. So this one is made with blood orange San Pellegrino on ice and then 2 shots of espresso poured on top. So let's give it a stir and then a try. I like it. Moving on, we have the Barista's Choice, which is a Cuban iced coffee. Now, I have never had a Cuban iced coffee, but it looks yummy, so I think it's gonna be great. It is iced coffee, milk, brown sugar, and cinnamon. It tastes like a snickerdoodle. So as a child, I was really picky and I never ate snickerdoodles, but I tried one last Christmas. I loved it, and this would definitely be one in a cup. 10 out of 10. And last but not least, we have the Coffee House House Roast. It's like the perfect cup of morning coffee, and it blends in beautifully to the vibe of this warm and homey shop. Our second shop of the day is Honest Coffee Roasters, which is located inside the factory in Franklin, Tennessee. The factory is a cute little shopping center with a farmer's market on Saturday that I'm dying to come back and see sometime. But for today, we're gonna check out this roastery. Come on. Roasters is their house roast, which is literally roasted right over there, so that's super cool. Then we have another iced Cuban, which this time it's made with oat milk, so we're changing it up a little bit from 2nd and Bridge. And then finally we have a nitro cold brew. We haven't been having lots of cold brew on our coffee tour so far, so I am excited to change that. Before we get into the drinks, I have to take a second and talk about their branding. So each of the cups has a white and a black side so that you can see it no matter what color the drink is, and I think that's super cool and thoughtful. Had to point that out. And now we're gonna start our tasting with the house roast. That's really nice and smooth. I was really excited about this shop because this is the first shop where I've actually been able to film the roastery and show it to you guys, which is awesome. Moving on from the house roast, we have the iced Cuban with oat milk. I'm super excited about this because the coffee house at 2nd and Bridge was my first Cuban. I loved it, and oat milk is my favorite milk substitute, so I think the blend is gonna be awesome. That is not the lid area. I really enjoy that because there's a hint of brown sugar and cinnamon, but oat is the overwhelming flavor, and no complaints from me there because I am an oat milk person 100%. Finally, we have the nitro cold brew. I've only been drinking nitro cold brew since I came to Starbucks a few years ago, so trying it from different places has been an interesting experience. This is actually my first one for the coffee shop project, and I am super excited because that foam looks amazing. It's so creamy and dense. I think a splash of oat milk in there, you know, being the oat milk person that I am, would take it to the next level, but I know that my mom is gonna love this because she loves that kind of texture with the sweet roast. Thank you so much for watching the Coffee Shop Project Franklin. If you enjoyed this video, I would love if you would consider subscribing and leaving a like down below. Next week, we're slowing things down a little bit with the first episode of the Coffee Shop Project at home. And then we're moving on to Texas, which I am so stoked for. Anyway, until then, you can follow me on Instagram to see some stuff in between. And that is all I have for this week, guys. Bye.